Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. We're excited to have you here. We're going to be presenting about the AI and IT asset management, some insights for 2026. This is our first webinar of the year, which we're really excited for. And we appreciate you joining. Today's presenters, we're really grateful to Ron and Kris who have prepared and will be presenting the content here today. Ron is the president and chairman here at Anglepoint. Kris is our chief product officer. So I'll give them a couple of seconds to introduce themselves. Ron, can we start with you?
Yeah, thanks, Braden. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ron Brill. I'm president and chairman of Anglepoint. I've been here for about 15 years. And outside of Anglepoint, I chair the ISO committee for IT asset management standards. That's the committee known as Working Group 21 that owns the ISO 19770 family of standards. And I also chair the board of trustees at the ITAM Forum, which is a global nonprofit that's based in London that's promoting the ITAM profession and soon to be joining the Linux Foundation.
Awesome. Thank you. Kris, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Kris Johnson, Chief Product Officer. I've been in the ITAM space for almost 25 years now. Have been here at Anglepoint nearly since its inception. And in my role, I make sure that our services are market leading and making use of the best technologies that are out there to drive greater value to our clients. That includes a R&D function that I lead, as well as a software engineering function.
Great. Thank you. And thanks again to both of you for being here. We really appreciate it. We're excited to announce that, for the sixth year in a row, we've been named a leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant. We'd like to share this report with you. We have complimentary access that we can share. I'm posting the link in the chat right now. If you want to download that report, I'd highly recommend you check that out. We only have this complimentary access for a limited time. So if you haven't seen the report yet, highly suggest that you go check that out. And then to add on to that, we have some really exciting news. This is brand new, but we were just recently, let me move the slide here, recognized as a leader by IDC in their new MarketScape report for SAM managed services. This is a brand new report, and we also are excited to be able to offer you complimentary access. I'm going to go ahead and post the link in the chat. While I'm doing that, Ron, would you mind just speaking a little bit about the importance of this report, not just for Anglepoint, but the industry as a whole?
Yeah, sure. I mean, from an industry perspective, I think IDC initiating this coverage in 2025 is just more validation for the importance of software asset management, IT asset management, and FinOps. IDC would not have done this unless they would have seen the questions and the inquiries and the interest and the demand from their customer base, C-level executives, CIOs, and so forth. And so this is, I think, a great validation to the entire industry that we're part of. And of course, from a more personal perspective, we're extremely proud for Anglepoint to be recognized as the leader there as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, so take a look at the links in the chat there if you're interested in accessing those reports. Now let's get into it. Ron, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing here today?
Yeah. So when you talk about AI in the context of ITAM and SAM and FinOps, there are really kind of two dimensions you can focus on. You can focus on what ITAM can do for AI, how ITAM can be used to help organization manage AI spend and reduce risk and improve efficiency and so forth relative to the AI spend. That's a huge pain point for organizations that are finding themselves spending a lot more money on AI than they thought, struggling with new metrics, like tokens and so forth, and the predictability of those types of spend. So ITAM for AI is an important area. However, that's not our focus today. We hope to cover this in a future webinar. Today's focus is about how can we use and leverage AI to do ITAM and FinOps more efficiently and more effectively. So this will be kind of what you see there as far as AI for ITAM. Again, that's our focus today.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Ron. Now, keeping that in mind, we have a couple poll questions. The first one here is, how high of a priority is leveraging AI for your organization's ITAM strategy? That's a critical priority, high priority, moderate, low priority, or not a priority. And we'll go ahead and give everyone about 30 seconds to respond to this question. All right, that looks like a good amount of responses. Kris, looking at the results here, does anything stand out to you?
I'm just pulling up the results here. Not surprising that it's a high priority. I think this organizations across the globe, universally are trying to gain efficiencies using AI in its many different forms. So not surprising that our ITAM practitioners are seeing the same opportunities and maybe having the same expectations from their leadership.
Okay, great, thank you. And then a follow-up question here real quick. And let me pull it up for everyone. This is, how much value is AI currently delivering to your organization's ITAM efforts? All right. So Ron, seeing these results, how does this compare with kind of what you're seeing in the industry?
Yeah, this is about what I would expect. I think there are areas in industry where AI is making a lot more progress than within ITAM and FinOps. I think it's just getting started. We're going to see a lot more innovation and adoption of AI and FinOps over the next few years. So I think this kind of picture here, where it's mostly limited value or no meaningful value yet, is kind of about what I would expect that we see across the industry as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I was very interested to see the results of this one, not surprising that it's been limited or no meaningful value yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thanks to everyone who responded. So to start the webinar, we wanted to just explain our process here a little bit. When you registered, you were given the option to submit your questions about AI and ITAM. And we collected all those questions. What you see here on the slide is not the full list of questions, but these were some of the most common ones that we saw popping up. And the process that we did here, Kris and Ron combed through each question, and we kind of determined that they all fit to within one of these three buckets of the art of the possible, the realities of AI and ITAM, and then practical guidance. So we sorted your questions into those three buckets, and that is the structure that we're going to take for this webinar. We're going to do our best. We had a lot of questions come in, so we won't be able to comprehensively answer everything, but we are going to do our best to get some good answers out to you based on the questions that you asked. So we'll start with the art of the possible, and we'll really be addressing what's the full potential of AI and ITAM and FinOps, and then which leading AI use cases are organizations exploring and prioritizing. Ron, do you want to take it away?
Sure. I'll take a stab at the first question and then hand it over to Kris. And I guess in the first question, I'm not going to touch on the specific use cases, which Kris is going to elaborate on, but just talk about the potential benefits of AI for ITAM and FinOps at a high level. Well, there are a number of such benefits. I think one that immediately comes to mind is that AI is really going to enable near real-time reporting, near real-time analysis, near real-time action and insights. And I think that's going to be a tremendous part of the value of AI. It's also going to enable more complete, accurate, and relevant data for decision making. It's going to improve data quality. So it's not only that data is going to be more readily available and more, near real-time data, but the data itself is going to be more complete and accurate and relevant in the sense that it's customized to each stakeholder and decision maker and so forth. So I think those benefits are probably a couple of the two most significant ones. AI is also going to enable workflow automation, things like um, any type of actions, particularly the more basic actions around software requisition, around reclamation, around other areas. So workflow automation using agentic AI is going to be a major benefit as well. AI is going to help improve governance just through, automated enforcement of policies within workflows and so forth. AI is going to help reduce risk. So through these automated workflows and through the real-time data, you're going to be able to preempt and prevent non-compliance from happening, or at the very least, you'll be able to detect non-compliance much earlier in the process and remove it, thereby, reducing the risk for the organization. And I think all of these things ultimately are going to free up personnel, whether it's internal personnel or whether it's a managed service provider personnel, to really focus on higher value add activities, such as working with the stakeholders to understand the insights and to implement the insights, and to make sure that the organization achieves the savings and the maximization of value and so forth. So kind of transitioning personnel from doing lower level activities, bean counting and so forth, and transitioning them to do higher level activities that are actually going to drive the value for organizations. Kris, any
Yeah.
any thoughts there?
Yeah, Ron, this question, what's the full potential of AI and ITAM and FinOps? You kind of have to recognize, well, what's the full potential of AI generally, right?
Yeah.
It's a huge, broad question and with a lot of implications. But I agree with everything you said there. What's the full potential of AI getting to artificial general intelligence, and what's the impact of that, right? We can only speculate, though we obviously see milestones ticking by us just, week after week, literally. So, I think when we talk about the full potential, this is sort of like within the near future, right? Not, too far out. But in that near future, certainly, it's reducing the cognitive load of practitioners to improve, the speed and accuracy and consistency, like you said, especially with lower level types of tasks. It doesn't change the accountability structure away from practitioners. And AI rarely replaces licensing expertise. It certainly can enhance it. But and when we say AI, we should probably be a little bit more specific. Sometimes when people hear the word AI, they have only an LLM in their head. And there are many forms of AI and machine learning as part of that, which we'll try and talk about specifics in referring to AI for that purpose. But talking about Gen AI, generative AI, um, because it is still quite generative and not deterministic, you want to make sure that um, uh, the highest risk mistakes remain with humans in the loop, right? So, going on to the use cases here, um, certainly with intelligent document processing, whether that's with contracts, order documents, or reformatting entitlement POE data from a system of record for transactions and converting that to formats that are ingestible to your ITAM tool. That can certainly be very highly automated just with generative AI tools like your commercial LLM, for example, your enterprise LLM platform. This, 2 years ago, this was really kind of leading edge. I think we have some different content that we've put out there, how we've been a part of some of the beta testing for some of these capabilities that have now since come out in ITAM platforms. Intelligent document processing applied to ITAM really is kind of table stakes now, fast forwarding to here we are in 2026, where whether you're leveraging intelligent document processing capabilities within your ITAM platform or an adjacent platform that is specialized for that, or you're just using out of the box generative AI tools like Claude Opus, for example. There's a lot of uh, benefits and gains to be made from a contract PO and entitlement ingestion use case. Certainly, other use cases include normalization of data, whether that's normalization of discovery evidences, normalizing to a publisher's name. Obviously, the largest, most prominent ITAM platforms out there are leveraging AI in their catalog management in this way. But there's certainly still unrecognized evidences that you might have in your environment that you can leverage LLMs in particular to help with that normalization. Um, when it comes to other use cases, speaking of generative AI, more generally, we're all using these as just daily productivity tools. And so, whereas in the past, preparing for an audit, even drafting the narratives for how to respond to an audit, making sure that you're managing your risk, and so forth. Certainly, enterprise LLM platforms greatly reduce the learning curve as far as that goes, and can help a practitioner that hasn't gone through a lot of audit experience be more prepared than they would certainly otherwise. There's another branch of AI that we should obviously talk about here, very relevant to ITAM and FinOps, is of course agentic AI workflows. So taking processes that are well defined, controlled by policy, and using taking those processes, putting them into agentic workflows with the right guardrails and so forth, so that you're essentially training up, if you will, ITAM assistants or teammates that are executing tasks on that lower level, like you mentioned, Ron, that allows the ITAM practitioner then to sort of manage those digital teammates. Certainly, those use cases, some of those areas that are sort of lower level that lend themselves well to agentic workflows include identifying reclamation candidates, identifying normalizing and identifying identity accounts, such as system accounts, or helping normalize data to go from your HR system to your identity access management system to your SaaS management system to make sure that there's consistency across those. These are things that agentic workflows are very well suited for.
Yeah. No, I agree, Kris. Thanks. It's a great overview. I think if we move on to the next question, we talked about the kind of art of the possible, what's theoretically going to be possible with AI, and now let's talk about what's kind of realistically available today out of all of that. And unfortunately, not a whole lot. And I think the answer that you guys gave here in the poll question to the second question kind of highlights that it's not really being used much in production capacity at scale today. Mostly what we're seeing that is being used, and I'll let Kris chime in, and I think he mentioned some of those things, around contracts and PO ingestion and analysis. So I think that's probably the lowest hanging fruit right now where we see organization actually doing. And as Kris mentioned, that's kind of table stakes right now. You kind of as a minimum requirement. Being able to use natural language to ask smart questions. We're seeing that emerging as well, whether it's just questions about general publisher licensing rules that have nothing specific to your organization, just, you want to know what the licensing rules are and so forth. It could be also smart questions about your own data, whether it's questions about the software contracts that you've uploaded and analyzed, questions about your inventory and so forth. So use of natural language and ability to run queries and views, much more easily and efficiently than was available before. And then the third would be agentic AI automation. Again, this is just getting started. For example, ServiceNow now has three agentic AI capabilities around, software requests and discovering inventory and optimization and so forth that can be configured to I guess, automate certain basic tasks. But again, this is just getting started. But we're going to see a lot more for sure over the next few months and years. Any thoughts,
Yeah.
Kris?
Yeah, well, kind of blending this with what we were talking about before of some of the art of the possible. I mean, as a global digital economy, we're seeing more and more um, connectors of traditional SaaS systems into enterprise LLMs. So, HubSpot connector into ChatGPT, for example, right? It's revolutionizing enterprise search in a lot of ways, right? Because now you've got natural language processing in a browser-based application where you can ask it the questions about your financial forecast for sales that quarter, right? And is taking some away from the need to access that SaaS application directly if you've got a large language model sitting on top of the data. We anticipate that trend will continue in the ITAM space as well, right? So your ITAM system of record may very well at some point be connected to your enterprise LLM, and so that anyone using natural language processing or anyone or the roles that you enable can get information from that just like they would any other type of information from your organization that's connected to your enterprise LLM. And there's certainly great benefits in that as generative AI capabilities continue to increase week by week, month by month. Um, you know, uh, Practitioners, decision makers, stakeholders can ask for data, ask for graphs, ask for charts to be generated for them specific to their use case rather than relying on static reports, notifications, and so forth. Certainly, the one of the hurdles that stand in the way of this is the generative nature of those types of systems, in that they are non-deterministic, so hallucinations. But as the technologies progress, those things are becoming less and less common. 2 years ago, everyone was talking about prompt engineering and how to essentially make sure that your LLM was giving you less hallucinations. Certainly relevant principles, but the industry at large has certainly evolved quite rapidly with foundation models being improved very, very quickly. Other common pitfalls and hurdles, obviously, before you would want to connect your system of record for ITAM data to a enterprise LLM, you want to make sure that that data is correct. And certainly as you're wanting to create agentic workflows that are taking action based on data in your system of record, you want to make sure that data is correct so that the actions themselves are relevant. And that's probably one of the biggest takeaways that I hope people have is that AI amplifies your data problems, and you're really not going to recognize the full benefits unless you've got good data foundations. We've been talking for years about the need to have your CMDB data correct and accurate before you're using an ITAM platform that uses that data. And that is no more true than it is today.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, I couldn't agree more. Right? If you have bad data, all AI is going to do for you is get you bad insights and bad decisions faster. And I think Gartner said that as well. I think they mentioned that about 60% of all AI projects will fail because of bad data, which
Yeah,
is it's a huge amount, and that's true for ITAM and FinOps as well. It's data, data, and data.
yeah,
That's the foundation. No, I appreciate that. As we move on to the last question, which is what is some practical guidance that organizations can follow? Where do you start, right? So I think first of all, you start with data, right? Understand the various tools and data sources that you have. Look for ways to automate data ingestion. Maybe there's a manual or semi-manual process now that could be replaced with an API, whether it's between systems you already have deployed within your environment or with some of the SaaS providers and cloud providers and so forth. So identify data sources, try to automate them as much as possible, and assess the data quality. What's the quality of your entitlement data relative to completeness and accuracy? What's the quality of your discovery and inventory data? What's the quality of configuration data such as CMDB and so forth? Identify those gaps in completeness and accuracy, and then develop a roadmap to remediate those gaps. So I think data is step number one. Even if you're not looking to implement AI within ITAM and FinOps, for another couple of years, now is the time to start looking at data, as Kris mentioned as well. I think you also want to understand what AI capabilities your organization already has that are available internally to IT and to procurement teams, and what is the organizational roadmap for adopting such, generic capabilities, whether it's around contract analysis or other things, as we mentioned. You want to work closely with your SAM and FinOps tool providers, the likes of ServiceNow, Flexera, and so forth, to understand what capabilities they already have. What are some of the success stories and best practices for implementing those capabilities that other companies have implemented and have been successful with? And what's the roadmap that vendor has and the timeline associated with that roadmap as far as rolling out new capabilities, so you can plan ahead. And then you want to really get educated on AI in general and AI for ITAM and FinOps in particular. There are certifications that are available in the marketplace. There are a ton of information that's available online, like webinars, white papers, blogs, and so forth. As you can expect, some of that content is better than others, but there's a lot that's available. And I think the most important thing really is to kind of just follow the crawl, walk, run kind of rule, right? You want to start with data. Like we said, you can't go wrong with that. You want to focus on some low-hanging fruit first. And then you want to make sure you keep governance and accountability front and center. That doesn't change. And then you can then start using AI to look at things like workflow automation, to enforce policies and so forth. But again, the focus is on governance and accountability. Kris?
yeah. For sure, Ron. That point about building AI literacy into your ITAM team is so critical. Things are changing so fast. If you're taking a certification, you should look at that certification as just you're opening yourself to a lifelong learning, if you will, and have an entry point. Because things are changing so rapidly, you have to constantly be looking at what's coming out, looking at new models, looking at new approaches, and building that AI literacy within your team is absolutely critical. Coming back to the importance of data, in terms of going on to this next question, long-term ITAM success. We have to start thinking about our ITAM data sets as durable data products themselves. We know that they've had downstream consumers of it that rely on it, but if we think of it as a source system with what are our SLAs for keeping things up to date, the entitlement, the normalization catalog, SaaS usage telemetry, the identity mappings that we talked about, HR to identity access management to SaaS accounts and so forth. On the get started front, I think it's good to, if your organization has within IT an AI center of excellence, certainly you want to get plugged in with those folks. If not, maybe define your own safe automation policy as it relates to AI. But if you have an AI center of excellence, there's probably already some work going on in that area. And that just helps identify which actions within your ITAM processes and controls require are good automation candidates, where are approvals still required by a human, where is rollback evidence required. When it comes to an agentic workflow, you absolutely want to make sure that you've got evidence-based documentation and logging, and put a human in the loop. Start with a test, start with a pilot use cases inside an existing workflow and do A/B testing. It's coming back to the importance of good data. If you've done your best to get good data, once you create an agentic workflow, and you automate actions based on that data, do it in a pilot, because you're going to see that there are data inconsistencies that you now see through an agentic workflow that you didn't see beforehand. So put it in a pilot mode, do A/B testing, learn from it, clean up your data iteratively, and hopefully promote to production those agentic workflows once they've proven their worth.
Yeah, completely agree, Kris. Thanks. That's great.
Yeah. Thank you, Kris and Ron. It's crazy how fast a half an hour can go by. And we appreciate everyone for your participation and your questions. We'll do our best to get those answers out to you. If you do want to have a one-on-one discussion about this, you can contact us on our website or email us at info@anglepoint.com. We're happy to discuss these things further with you. And then finally, if you're not connected with Ron and Kris on LinkedIn, we highly encourage you to do that. You can find their LinkedIn profiles here on this slide. We'd love for you to connect with them. And we appreciate you all for taking the time, especially Ron and Kris. Thank you. I'll keep this slide up for the next few minutes, but we'll go ahead and end the webinar now. And really appreciate all of you being here and hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.